It's live now. You can begin.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the committee. First and foremost, I'd like to, we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, residents. How you doing? It's January the 30th, 2021. First, I'd like to make an announcement. If you were in Village Hall last week at any time, or last Saturday, and went in there to Village Hall to get tested, I'm asking that you go get retested. This should have been done outside, not inside of Village Hall. It's a public safety risk. Anyone could have been exposed. And I'm asking that the employees that work inside of Village Hall or that may have came inside Village Hall, you go get tested too. Get tested for your own safety. This is a safety concern, not only to the workers there, but also to the residents who come inside of Village Hall. I'm also asking that that place be clean, sterilized by a professional that can come in and clean that facility. All right, moving forward. I'd like to talk about safety concerns with the carjackings. So we do, as you know, there are rats of carjackings in and out of Dolton. So far in Dolton, look like I may have 4 carjackings, one on the January 15th, January 17th, and also January the 19th. I have another date that I have to get. 2 of them have occurred on Sibley, and as you can see, they have occurred back to back. For your safety, I know it's wintertime and people like to warm up their car. They have these remote starters. I ask that when you're coming in and going out, make sure you have someone that's looking out for your well-being. If you see another car or vehicle out there that's running, people sitting in there, be cautious, be mindful. If you don't know who that vehicle belongs to, call Dolton Police Department and let them know that you have a suspicious vehicle there, because it just takes a second for you to either bag out of your driveway. These cars are pulling up. These people are vicious. And I'm looking at that they may just want your valuables that's in there, because they take these cars. We hear often that they take these cars and use them for other crimes. Yeah, they do. They take them, do another carjacking and leave yours. But sometimes they do drive-by shootings. But we want to protect your safety and your family's safety. And especially if you have children inside of these cars, inside of these vehicles, don't leave your child inside of a car that's running. All it takes is a second for them to get this vehicle. So teach your family members, teach your neighbors. If you know what time your neighbors go out, kind of look out the window. People can see, oh, somebody's looking out the window. We may not even try this, but look down your block. Even when you're leaving out, you're going down your block, you see a car that's running, kindly call 911 and give them that information that there's a vehicle on your block that's running with maybe 1, 2, 3 heads in there. Also, auto burglaries, the same thing. People are walking down the streets. They're checking doors. Make sure your doors are locked. Don't leave your valuables in there, because they're checking these doors. And if that door is unlocked, it just takes them a matter of a second to get in there. Whatever you have laying in there, don't leave your computers, don't leave your laptops, don't leave your purses, don't leave nothing in there of valuable that they can sell. Because there have been some auto burglaries and they are checking doors. Even when you're at the grocery store, the gas stations, make sure your doors are locked. Don't just run out, leave your purse, leave your wallet, leave your phone on the seat, and then just running there to get that gas real quick. That's go hand in hand with carjacking and burglaries. All they want is your valuables. So we have to practice being safe. Now move down. I want to step down to and then come back up. I'm going to step down to the wiring. And when I put wiring on there, it's a wiring that's inside of your homes. If you have wiring or wires that's hanging out, you need to call someone that's professional to tape those wires up and install those wires properly. Faulty wiring can lead to a major fire inside your home. If they touch, they can short circuit. Lots of people like to go to the dollar store, okay, and buy these extension cords. Some of these extension cords will overload. They will get hot. They will set your house on fire. Electrical fire is one of the baddest fires that can start inside of a home. So if you have your sockets that are hanging out, please, I'm asking you to call an electrician to get those wirings, get those sockets installed back properly, because that can set off a fire. In your fire safety, continue to teach everyone inside that house how to get out of that house. Your smoke detectors, make sure your batteries are in there, because you want to be safe and people want to live. You can save your life and other people's lives. And I'm asking that all of you all go outside, walk your block, take a look at your fire hydrants. You know, I have been through this village, and lots of parts of this village, it's a liability risk with these fire hydrants. Not only is it a liability risk with the residents of Dolton, but it's a liability risk with the firemen too. If that fire hydrant is not working properly and they have to run and locate another one, it's time consuming. And I put it on the record that a lot of these fire hydrants are not working in the village of Dolton. I have been up and down these blocks. I've been looking at these fire hydrants, rusted out. Been looking at these fire hydrants that are constantly leaking right now today as I speak. It's a safety concern and a risk in the village of Dolton. If there's a fire, a major fire, we got a problem. And the only person gonna pay for this is the taxpayers on a lawsuit. Not only, as I stated, we gotta protect the people that are living here, we gotta protect our firemen too. Because as I stated, they have to get to a fire hydrant that's fully working. And that's because a lot of them being rusted out and a lot of the infrastructure that needs to be done to help this water get up that fire hydrant to that hose and into that home to save a life. Now the numbers on we have a board meeting Monday. Chief Mobley will provide with the status, and I will on Monday, as far as the incidents that have been going on inside of Dolton. As you know, well, you may not know, but as of now, we had a triple shooting last night with a homicide, 146 in Woodlawn. That is still under investigation, but I ask you to be mindful of what's going on your blocks, on your streets, the abandoned homes. You know, you all can help by taking a closer look at them and call if you see illegal activity inside of these abandoned homes. Nobody moves into these abandoned homes this fast. You know, sometimes you got neighbors on your block that's contacting other people, especially about if they got a hot car, they can park this car in the back of this house. And sometimes your neighbor can be watching that hot car. You know, you got to look out for your auto thefts. Because if they steal a car and they park that car in the back of that home, you know that home is abandoned, then call the Dolton Police Department and let them know there's a vehicle back there. There have been some chop shops in Dolton. There have been a lot of auto thefts in Dolton. They come outside, They bring that vehicle in here and they park it in the back. But we as residents know that that's an abandoned place, but there's a car back there. If there's a vehicle back there, just simply dial 911 because that car might be a stolen car. That car might be used in a homicide. So we have to protect ourselves and build block by block communications. Now, as the residents, we have some abandoned homes here in Dolton. Look on your block. You can do the same thing as go on the Cook County Record of Deeds and find out who owns that property, as we can do the same too, and try to get the person that owns that property to come out and take care of that property, because it's a haven for crime, especially in the summertime. If the grass is not cut and the weeds are high, we can protect ourselves along there. Chief Dyer, you have anything you want to add to this?
Good morning, trustee and residents. So I'll add a little bit about the fire safety. Like you stated, electrical fires are very dangerous because they start in a wall, and a lot of the times they're hidden fires. So if you have any electrical problems in your house, faulty wiring, we don't suggest you use multi cords, the extension cords. You shouldn't have more than 2-3 things plugged in an extension cord. It's not meant to run everything in your house. So those things aren't rated for more than 2 or 3 cords, and they heat up a lot. As far as using little space heaters, make sure you have your space heater at least 3 feet from combustible items like cloth, chairs, blankets, your bed. You got to make sure you have it at least 3 feet away. Using the stove to warm your house, that creates CO. CO is the incomplete combustion of fire. So what happens is the fire doesn't burn totally complete when you use your gas. That incomplete combustion causes a gas, and that's CO. CO, you can't smell it, you can't see it. So a lot of times you start getting a headache, you start feeling fatigued, you might get dizzy. Or if you have a CO detector, just like a smoke detector, everybody should have multiple CO detectors in their house. Don't have it too close to the kitchen, because naturally, every time you burn something on your stove or use your water heater or your anything that uses fire to warm anything, like your water heater or your furnace, don't have it too close to it, because it's going to set off some CO. So have it in closer to the bedrooms, in the hallway, in the living room. And if that detector goes off, call 911. Same thing with your smoke detectors. Trustee Holmes mentioned, make sure your batteries are changed. A lot of people have smoke detectors, but no batteries in them. So make sure you have batteries in your smoke detector. Make sure you go out and get a CO detector. The hydrants, that is a big deal. As Trustee Holmes stated, we were doing hydrant inspections, and we've been doing hydrant inspections. The problem with the hydrants, it's the infrastructure. We have a lot of old infrastructure, the pipes running under the ground. So when we go out doing these inspections, sometimes when we shut the hydrants off, it causes a water hammer and it breaks the pipes. Now, our pumpers carry 750 gallons of water. So we have 2 pumpers that arrive. So now we have 1,500 gallons of water. That's that gives us a good start. We know which hydrants are broken or out of use, and we know which hydrants to use. So far, we have not run into any problems using water or getting water for our engines. And I would hope to think that, you know, these hydrants will be fixed soon. Trustee?
Yeah, thank you. Because some of these hydrants has been out for years. It's a safety concern issue for me, for the public, and also for the Dolton Fire Department employees, especially when they're trying to get this water from this hydrant. If one of these houses is on fire and it's a fire hydrant right in front of that house and it's not working, I definitely have a problem with that, because if the concern for the workers and the concern for rescuing people out of here, and I've been listening down, taking notes of these fire hydrants. I've been watching them, and they've been down not months, they've been down years. And I got document dates and times that I done took pictures of these fire hydrants, but it's a safety concern and liability risk. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Chief Mosley, you have anything you'd like to add on?
Good morning, trustees, citizens, village clerk, Chief Dyer. I just, only thing I have to add is that we have been aggressively hiring police personnel. We have 4 new hires. We would have had 8, but 4 of them that made it through our process end up failing in some portion, meaning that during the interview process, they met all the qualifications, but they failed somewhere along the way. They failed either during the psych or the poly or a background check. But we're still moving forward. So we're going to do a photo shoot and a news conference with the new officers that we have hired, just so the citizens can see them. And when you see them driving around, you'll see some new faces. Outside of that, you already touched on the carjackings and just safety as a whole in this day and time. As I stated before, during our police and community meetings, you have to keep your head on a swivel at all times. You can't leave your doors unlocked. You can't really use your remote start to warm your car, because if they see it running, they're going to take it. Just try to travel with someone at nighttime. Try to minimize the type of purse that you carry. If you could just have a small wallet that you could put in a pocket, do so. You don't want to make yourself a target. Outside of that, that's about it.
Thank you, Chief. Also like to thank the Dolton Police Department for responding to some of the auto burglaries and a chop shop that was recently here, and put an end to that. And be mindful that, I know your teenage children, teenage females, males, they want to always go outside. They want to start the car before you leave. I'm that, put a halt to that right now, because, as a teenager, I did the same thing. Want to always start my dad's car before he come out and go outside and just sit down and start that car. As of this day and age, it's a no-no, because they will kidnap your car and take your child too. And kidnap your child and kidnap your car. I call them both, because they're taking them, and your car will be gone. So be mindful to be for those type of things. Those individuals are just walking down the block. See, they don't have to be inside a car. They can be just walking down by themselves and straight up on your vehicle and take that vehicle. And let me give you a breakdown. A lot of them are getting away with the carjacking. They're not being charged. Well, I'll give you a breakdown. Carjacking, vehicle hijacking is a felony. Now, in saying that, when a person comes up on your car or come up on you, they take that gun and they point that gun in your face or either at your head. 9 times out of 10, you're looking at that gun because you don't want that gun to go off. You're not really looking at the perpetrator. You may can see what he has on, but you're not looking at that face. You're looking at the barrel of that gun, which has you traumatized. And then this is the breakdown what's happening. They take that vehicle and they jet off and leave you right there. And you have to get to a phone. You have to call 911. Have your license plate, know your license plate, so you can give them the license plates of that car. 2, once they find your vehicle, whether it's a person in there or not, if it's a person in there, he gets arrested, may get charged with vehicle hijacking. But see, the other part of that, they have to contact you to come down and identify this individual. If you cannot identify this individual as committing this vehicle hijacking or this vehicle robbery, then that case trickles down to a misdemeanor. And I just give it to you. It throws away the vehicle hijacking. It throws away the armed robbery because he hasn't been identified as taking your vehicle, putting that gun on you. And reason being, and I know you just watching that gun and you want to live. If nobody can identify this individual committing this vehicle hijacking, the only thing he gets charged with is criminal trespassing to property, which is a misdemeanor, and he'll be out of there probably within a half an hour or an hour. And that's the same for juveniles. They'll be out of there with faster than their parents can get there, sign that paper, and they out, off to commit another one. Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the same thing if you can't identify this individual. And see, that's a big loophole. And it's a loophole that has to be addressed. That's why this carjacking is up so high. Okay, they say, hey, we got 5 or 6. We arrested. I don't care how many you arrest. You can arrest 100 people for vehicle hijacking. If 100 people can identify those 100 people that has been arrested, they'll be back out on the street with the misdemeanor charge. So we have to address this loophole that we got because it's an increase and it's your safety and it's your life.
One thing, if I can add.
Sure, sir.
The carjackings have been going on throughout the Chicagoland area, the state of Illinois, and throughout the nation.
Yes.
We're going to partner up with the Chicago and Cook County for auto task force. I was contacted earlier this week because a lot of these crimes are done by the same people and they're just all over. So all the suburbs in Chicago in itself have a connection with these individuals that's doing these carjackings. So we're starting up a task force. I was reached out to by one of the chiefs from county yesterday, and Chicago contacted us earlier. So in the next week or so, we'll be doing a collaboration on a joint auto task force to curb some of this carjackings that are going on throughout the Chicagoland area and suburbs.
Thank you, Chief. That's good because I've been voicing my opinion about the way the laws are now. You know, I understand families are traumatized. And as I stated, you know, they're just looking at the barrel of that gun, but we need to work together to change this, you know, especially we're trying to stop from locking up people. But at the same time, we're trying to save people's lives and we kind of work with the community, the state. If you commit that crime, we're going to have to come together and change the laws on this because see, it's trickling down to a misdemeanor. They're getting back out and they're committing the same crime over and over again. We know that they know that there's not going to be a car chase because it's going to be terminated because of public safety. But at the same time, we have to keep educating, do seminars, reach out to these. There's not all teenagers that are doing these carjacks. I want to state that. We got a lot of teenagers with a lot of knowledge. We got a lot of adults that are committing these crimes and they know that they can get off because of the way the laws are. But we got to protect the citizens and also find a way to get into the heads and the hearts of these people because they're not auto theft. They're not thieves. They're not stealing the car just to sell a car. They're stealing your valuables. And that's what they're doing. That car is being used. They take that car, leave it, and go do something else. All they want is valuables. So we have to change the mindset, get inside these homes, and I'm asking parents, look at your adult children. Look at your teenage children. Talk to them about what they can be charged with. Hanging with the wrong crew, about someone's coming with a car claiming it's his. And once they get inside of there, then if that car is apprehended and that person that's driving done carjacked that car and they're gone, then guess what? Your son or your daughter is still in that car, not knowing that car was used in a homicide, not knowing if that car was vehicle hijacked, but they stuck with that case for a minute. We don't need that on their records. We're trying to keep exes off of their backs. We're trying to just get them in school, get them in churches, get them back in the homes so they can have a healthy life. So help us, help you at the same time, and help your family. Anybody else that's in? I'm trying to see who else here that may want to chime in. Trustee House.
Good morning, sir. No, I was just,
Good morning, sir. How are you? Anything
um,
you need to chime in on, sir?
no comment. I just wanted to say good morning to everybody, and I appreciate the invite.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Genovi, do we have any comments?
We do not have any comments or questions at this time.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is the village administrator, Elizabeth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a few things. I'm sorry. I have my boot on, so forgive me because I'm trying to walk around here. There's a few things I wanted to address and discuss. Some things that were mentioned.
Uh-oh, it's echoing bad.
We aren't able to hear you right now.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So this past, actually today, we're having it sanitized. It's actually in the process of being sanitized as we speak. I can't speak on the event itself, but I can just tell you what I'm trying to do moving forward. We are having it sanitized today, so it will be sanitized. The second thing is in regards to the fire hydrants. On the warrant list, the trustees will see there's two different invoices for those two fire hydrants that were damaged. They are being fixed. It's on the warrant list for approval. I wanted that to be put on the warrant list prior to us going out to fix it because the amount is above my pay grade that I'm able to authorize. So that would have to be voted on by the trustees at Monday's board meeting. Also, I'm in the process now of getting a list together of all the correct number of fire hydrants that are working as well as the ones that are not working. As Chief Dyer said, there's some hydrants that were broken because they were off, whatever. The infrastructure is going to be very expensive. I am working with Pete McCain from the fire department, who is actually working on that grant because some of the figures and numbers have to come from the fire department. So I'm working with him on that grant. However, that grant is only for a maximum of $100,000. So this week I had 2 meetings with individuals that I have relationships with at the county about getting money and infrastructure, not just for the fire hydrants, but other things in Dolton. And the reality is, I'm not sure until we get the exact number of fire hydrants that need to be replaced, and not just the fire hydrants, right? We're speaking of the infrastructure, the underground piping that may go into the millions. I'm going to be honest. So I'm waiting to get that back because just to fix these 2 hydrants is going to cost us over $11,000. And we have many fire hydrants throughout Dolton. So I'm waiting to get that number back. But to give you an update, I am working on that, the grant, as well as through the county. And the county said they are willing to give us some assistance on that and a couple other infrastructure issues that we're having. So I've been in talks with them. So I will give a follow-up on that at my next committee of the whole meeting. Also, Chief Dyer, I don't know if you spoke on this, but I don't remember if you said anything, but some of the fire equipment for the fire department is going to be going out of date in a few years. I want to be proactive and not reactive. So we're in the process of putting that together. That protective equipment includes like their jacket, the trousers, the equipment that they need that's vital for them to protect the community. So the quotes for that. So typically the fire department, they need 2 sets of gear, and that totals $49,980. That's for 1 set. So it will be double that amount, close to 100,000, 90-some thousand for both sets. So what I'm trying to do is we're applying for a grant for that, but the likelihood of us getting that grant, to be honest, they only award 1 community within Cook County for that grant every year. There's almost 200, I believe there's roughly 200 municipalities that encompass the county. So I'm not dependent on that. We're going after it, but it's like a needle in the haystack. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at purchasing 1 set now which would cost $49,980. We work towards the grants and other ways to get the money together for the second set. And like I said, if they don't need that equipment, and Chief Dyer, correct me because I don't know the exact date. Is it 3 years from now that they're going to need both sets?
4.
Okay. So I would like to get one set now, because when I had a meeting with the fire department, they expressed that some of their equipment now is worn out, but by regulation, it expires for sure in 4 years. However, some of their equipment now is going bad. Am I correct, Chief Dyer, in saying that? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to get them a first set now. I'm going to end up speaking on this at our next CAL meeting, because I'm asking the board to vote to take some of the CARES money. This is why I applied for that money. We are able to use that because it is for necessary equipment, because it is to save the lives and protect the firemen when they go out, and to enable them to protect our community. So I'm going to bring this forth at the next CAL meeting in my village administrator's report. I'm going to ask the board if we can use some of that $749,000 that I was able to get from the CARES Act, and it's only $49,980. And we have to get this equipment at some point. So I think that we should get it now while we do have the funding. And if not, I mean, it's going to have to come out of our general fund either way, because the grant that we're going after, we will not find out if we get that money for another 9 months to a year. And like I said, some of the firemen expressed to me that like some of their jackets are starting to go bad now. Another thing I wanted to discuss, I think that was about it. I think I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on, but we are working on a grant for the fire hydrant, also $1,000. I'm working with the county on infrastructure for that. And like I said, on this Monday's board meeting, I did have it placed on the warrant list. The amount to fix both of the fire hydrants in that invoice is the exact addresses of the 2 fire hydrants that were mentioned. If you want further detail, and I also can send the board directly those invoices. And I think that's all I wanted to speak on. Thank you.
Administrator Scott.
Yes.
So let me correct myself. There are 10 members whose gear will be expired in 2024. So that's 3 years. It'll be the end of 2024, but December of 2024, 10 members equipment will have been expired. So the gear is good for 10 years. Let me explain this to Trustee Holmes. The gear is good for 10 years. So we don't want to wait until the last year and start scrambling for gear. So if we can get at least a 10, hopefully all of it now, they would have 2 sets for the next 3 years. And then we might have to buy another set for only 10 guys, because their gear is going to be bad in 3 years. And if we're going to have 2 sets of gear, which the NFPA is a standard, is recommending that all firemen have 2 sets of gears because of all the carcinogenics and the cancer-causing carcinogenics that they get into the fire gear. They're recommending that everyone has 2 sets of gear and be able to be washed. So we have a washer and an extractor in our firehouse. So we'll be able to wash a set of gear and wear a set of gear. That's the reason why we're trying to get these 2 sets of gear now.
Thank you, Chief.
And also I wanted to add the total number of sets that we need are 20. We need 20 trousers, 20 jackets, 20 of everything. So I'm trying to get 10 now. I'm going to ask for the board. I'm going to ask for direction from the board if they want this placed on, I think that would be the March 1st board meeting, but I'm going to discuss this at the CAL meeting in February and ask for direction from the board as far as if we're able to move some of the CARES money just for that. And we do need this. So that's it. Thank you.
The
All right,
number 20, and the number 20 comes from 18 firefighters, myself, and Deputy Chief Rush. So that's a total of 20. Now, we may not need 2 sets of gear, but hopefully in the future we'll be hiring more guys. We're at 17 right now. We're doing interviews right now. We're going to try to hire 1 to even out the shifts so that there'll be 6 members on each shift. But a better number, you know, we've always tried to get to 24, but we're going to try to crawl to 21 once everything gets back together. you know, this COVID goes away, and you know, we know money is real tight right now, so we're gonna get to 18, and that will give us 20 sets, and hopefully we'll be able to get up to 21, add a member on each shift in the future.
Chief, in that hiring process, do we have any females that are on the list?
We do. We have females that took the test. We go through police and fire. They set out the list. Now, some of these people have taken other jobs since then. We had this test a year ago before the pandemic started. And then once that started, everything cut out, you know. So we never had any interviews. We weren't doing any hiring. So some of these people may have gotten hired somewhere else. But we did our first interview Thursday. Thursday was our first day of interviewing. And we have interviews throughout this week. So the interview should be done in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be able to come out with a final list. And I'll be able to tell you, because like I said, some people turn it down. Some people come and do the interview. Some people have gotten other jobs. You know, their life moved on while we were not, you know, during this pandemic. They had to get other jobs, you know, elsewhere.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
That's it.
Go
ahead.
Trustee Holmes, we do have a few questions, but I just want to follow up really briefly on what our administrator mentioned about having Village Hall sanitized. And just so that you are aware, the free COVID-19 testing that Mayor Rogers set up, it is a drive-up testing. So we're doing it every Tuesday and Saturday, but it's outside. So I'm here today, and residents are just driving up, being tested right in their cars, and they're able to keep driving off. So they don't have to come in the building.
Okay, thank you.
And then I'll go ahead and proceed with the questions. The first question states, since most of the carjackings are committed by teenagers and younger youths, what can be done to monitor them from preventing further carjackings?
Well, what we're doing, you know, once a person is, and I've been doing this all over, once a person is arrested and it's a minor for carjacking, this is something I've personally been doing, trying to do and still doing, is get in touch with the state's attorney or over in the juvenile court to see, you know, what's inside of this person's heart. How can we help this person from committing the next carjacking? What motivated you to do this carjacking in the first place? And sometimes we find out, you know, there's no structure at home. So those individuals, I'm trying to get in touch with Judge Evans to see how can we talk to them once they are arrested over there at the juvenile facility, to see if we can get them on the right path to never commit this again and to stay away from those who are committing these crimes. Mostly get them in school if they're not in school.
All right. The next question is, why is Holmes doing a meeting now since he's never done one in 2 years?
Well, I'll answer that question. I have been doing meetings. My meetings, I put them under one umbrella, and that was me who did that. When the police had the community meetings, whatever I had to talk about, whatever I had to say, I would do it there. And we had a full house. We had standing room only. And some meetings I gave away TVs. We brought everybody together because, see, one, you would have to repeat the same thing 3 times at the board meeting, at the police community meeting, and at the committee meeting. So it wasn't nobody but my decision to do that. And I explained that before. Thank you.
All right. The next question, I believe this is in reference to the hydrants. It says, why didn't he do this meeting before going to the news?
Why didn't I do this meeting before going to the news? I took it upon myself. I mean, these fire hydrants have been like this for the longest. And they know it. They know it's been like this. Dolton has been in a liability risk even before I even went to the news with it. You know, whether I go to the news with it or not, I find a way to get help to get this infrastructure together, because it's about saving these people's lives. Nobody has to live like this. Fire hydrants shouldn't have been living like this. And you and anybody as a resident, if you living in Dolton and you think this and knowing it's been there outside your home for the longest, then ask yourself the question, when are they going to fix these hydrants? Thank you.
All right. The next question is, do the members of the fire and police departments have to live in the village?
Chief?
Okay.
or administrator?
Oh, no, they don't.
No, you do not.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, does Chief Dyer execute any grant applications?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And that is the final question that we have for citizens address.
So just to let everybody know, before we take this to Administrator Scott in the village, we apply for our own grants in the fire department. We don't just go asking for money because we know money's tight. So we look for grants ourselves first, and then we execute them. And sometimes everybody doesn't get the grants, so we do the best we can with what we have. So at that point, we don't have a choice but to go to the village.
Okay. We do have another question that populated. It says, where were the carjackings on Sibley?
Let me see. Sibley, 522 Sibley, 1445 Sibley. And also I have another one, 137 East 46th Street. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, I think one happened at White Castle, but we ask you just to be mindful of your surroundings. But we want to put this out as soon as possible. And I'll be working with the chief with it, because see, if there's a carjacking here or whatever incident happens here, that area needs to be flooded with a flyer of some type. And I'm gonna make it upon my responsibility to put that flyer out in that area or get that information out, the best way we can get it out, just to be transparent. And thank you for that question.
Okay. The next is following up again about the hydrants. Is saying, in the past 2 years, did you know about the fire hydrants?
Is that to me?
Yes.
No, not until I recently started looking at them. But
Alright.
some residents that I talked to, where those fire hydrants are at, some of them say them fire hydrants been like that over 8 years. That I can't say nay or yay, but some of them say these fire hydrants have been bad. But we have to do what we have to do moving on to make sure that these fire hydrants are up to date, working in the infrastructure. We can't keep picking back on what if this and that. We got to save lives, and we got to save lives now. We got to live tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. Next question states, it's a follow-up for Chief Dyer. Is saying that he answered, yes, we do. And they just wanted to know if Chief Dyer himself actually execute any of the grant applications. No, is he still here?
Yeah, he's here. He's on mute.
What, say that again, Giovanni?
So it's a follow-up question. So the initial question, when they asked if they want to know if you specifically execute grant applications.
The fire department executes the applications. The fire department executes the grants.
So let me add something onto this. So typically, when I came into this position, certain things that I don't know, I ask different administrators from different towns. What I was told in speaking with different people, and also what I know when I got here, was, for example, the police department goes after their own grants. Chief Collins, the former police chief, I know that he used to apply for grants for his department. I know that Pete McCain, different people, Mayton, there's different people from different departments, and they would apply for grants for their department. Now, when people need assistance in executing those grants, sometimes they will come to the village and ask for assistance. I've had people ask me for assistance with certain grants, but certain figures, for example, they'll ask for stats that come out of the police department. I wouldn't have that information. And those grants that are for the police department, that are for the fire department, they're tailored for those departments. So I would almost serve as like a secretary. I don't have that information. Now, on my end, I apply for grants for streets, like the CARES Act. That is an umbrella that goes over all of the departments. So if we need money for fire, for police, different things, like, for example, I'm bringing up the uniforms, I go after those grants. I look at grants that are for infrastructure, for flooding. I'm talking to the county now because there's a big stormwater grant. I'm actually trying to get several $1 million. I go after big money grants. And so that's what I was always told. I know that Pete McCain has been a person in the past that mainly works on the grants, and he works with whoever the chief is at the time. I know he was the chief. He works with different people. I know in the police department, it's typically the police chief. He works with someone who maybe is versed in grants, whether that's McInerney, Maton, whoever it is. So that's just to give a little more input into certain grants. And those grants tend to be smaller. For example, certain grants for equipment are $20,000. Public Works has worked for safety grants. That was a $30,000 grant. Matt was successful in getting that. He worked with myself, Ron Smith. So that's how those smaller, those grants go that tend to be of a lower nominal amount.
All right, thank you. The next question is is the police department hiring for any clerical positions?
Chief still on.
I say not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee, can I add something?
Sure, sir.
You know, we talk about these grants and anything that happens in the fire department. I always tell people to come by the fire department to see what we're doing. I don't like to talk about the things that I do here, but the membership will tell you what I've been doing here. And I just want to let you know one thing that has maybe something to do with these grants. Remember back about a year or so ago when the tornado sirens weren't working? Well, I had a lot to do with getting those tornado sirens working. When I first got here, I asked a question, why weren't they working? Or, you know, might have heard one, I couldn't remember. But it had something to do with the ETSB. Now, the ETSB, the Emergency Telephone Service Board, is a committee, and we get money back from the ETSB. But Dolton hadn't been getting that money for 2 years or more. So in getting the sirens fixed, I started investigating the ETSB. Now we get a month, I can't even recall the number, but we got a check for $90,000 to be put into the ETSB fund. Now, I'm not a member of the ETSB fund. I just saw that these sirens weren't working, and then I found out about the ETSB fund. So I took it upon myself to get that done. Now, like I said, I don't know who people, if you talk to the people at Buzz Dispatch, they'll tell you that those sirens haven't worked in 10 years, but nobody said anything. And like I said, I'm not here to say, oh, look what I'm doing, because that's not me. I do stuff that I think needs to be done, and that's it. You've never heard this from me. So these sirens are working now. We're getting, I believe, $10,000 a month in the ETSB money. It could be more than that. I can't recall what the number. It might be. It could be more. I can't recall the number, but like I said, I'm not on the board. But now we're getting money. With that money, we got the sirens fixed. Also, with that money, we've gotten equipment for the fire department. We're getting new tones in the fire department. How the house tones go off when the calls come in. Right now, our sirens are so old. The tones are so old. It's recommended that we get better ones because of heart attacks. These sirens, these alarms go off so loud that it's been recommended that we get new ones. So that's coming out of the ETSB fund, that money that we never had. We haven't had this money in years. And you can ask Administrator Scott, you can talk to the people at Buds. They'll tell you what happened. And I'm not saying it's me, but it's done now. So when people say, is Chief Dyer doing? Why don't you come see what Chief Dyer's doing? That's all I ask you to do. Just come see. And they'll come in, they'll see new equipment in the house. They'll see, like we're trying to get this bunker gear. At one time, the bottles were expired. Now, I had been here a year, and our bottles had been expired. We've had these bottles for 15 years, and I get here, and now they're expired. So instead of me blaming somebody, putting it off on somebody else, I did what I had to do. I went to other communities and said, hey, can we borrow some bodies? I used to work for the Illinois Fire Service Institute. I went to them and said, hey, this is what's happening in my town. can I borrow some bottles? They gave me 40 bottles. We got a couple from Harvey. And now we're still short on bottles because we don't have the money to buy them. But guess what? We made a deal with South Holland. South Holland donated their 40 bottles because they got new ones. They donate them to us. And I know you don't want donated stuff or old stuff, but guess what? We do what we do to get by, overcome and adapt. We don't have the money to get them. So we talk to South Holland and say, hey, can we use your bottles? If you're going to give them away, throw them away, whatever you're going to do with them. And they gave them to us. We got those bottles 2 days ago. Like I said, come to the firehouse and see what's happening. Everybody wants to know this and say that, but nobody wants to come see what's going on at the firehouse. Come visit.
Thank
Don't
you.
feel bad, Chief. I was told, what do I do too, so.
Crazy. Like I said, I don't toot my horn. All I say is come see. And anytime you come over here, Trustee Holmes, I always walked you around, showed you what we're doing. Look at this. This is what we're trying to do. We got new computers in the trucks. Nobody else knows all that stuff. The new equipment that we have on the rigs. But like I said, I don't go out and say, hey, look at me. Look at this. Look at this. Come see. That's just not me. I'm not that come look at me guy.
Well, as he stated, it's open for you all to come in and see. But as I always stated that, I don't like to see us borrowing anything. We got elected officials that are in higher office than we got. And if they can't come around the tables and help us get what we want to get to help with this community, help with the fire department, help with the police department, get the funds here and there, then, we have to take another look at them.
Well, until that happens, Trustee Holmes, I got to do what I got to do because these firemen need these bottles, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, no, you have to do what you have to do to keep it running. What I'm saying as an elected official, okay, we have to hold those in higher office than us to help us get what we have to get to function, help you get what you have to get to function, and to help us meet the needs of this community. And if they want to sit back and take these votes for granted, then they're wrong.
Understood.
All right, we have another question. It states, how are the speed bump applications prioritized? Are they based on safety hazards or first come, first serve? And then the second question to that is, how long does the police or mayor evaluation take before a new speed bump is implemented?
Anyone that has any impact on that? Because go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I will elaborate on the process. Once a citizen requests it, it goes to the village clerk. At that time, she forwarded to the police department, in which I give it to the traffic division. Once the traffic division does a survey, I then in return give the stats to the village clerk. And from there, I thought the board was supposed to agree upon it. So the process after that is pretty much out of the police department hands. We just kind of like validate what the citizen is saying. If they have people blowing the stop signs, if they have people speeding down their block, and so forth. So the survey validates or non-validates what the citizen is requesting the speed bump for. So how it's prioritized, that's the police department doesn't make that decision.
All righty. And then we do have another question. It says, what is the process for getting the needs of the fire department met?
Chief, are you still there? But I can put a little input on there. Sitting down as usual, talk with the chief, talk with the firemen, and try to work with those establishments to get what they need over there. As I stated, we have other elected officials that are higher than us, bring to the table, Zoom call, let them know what our needs are as far as this village, as far as fire department, as far as police department. And I'm very strict about that. You're elected officials, if you're in public safety, and it's your job to help create funds to get what we need over here. And if that is not met, then, we have to look at eternity, with these elected officials. We're not taking no for our answers. I don't like to say what this other village got and what they got. It's what Dolton need. It's the safety that the fire and the police department need over here, and that's what we have to work toward. Chief, you have any input on that?
As far as how the needs are met or the process, well, just like you said, I come to the firehouse and I talk to the guys. What do we need, fellas? They might say we have, like one year I bought them all gloves, bought them all hoods, because they said, hey, we haven't had a set of gloves given to us. We haven't had another spare hood given to us. So I went out and got some money and got them some hoods and gloves. And when I say just ask the firemen what's going on over here, like today, I'm at the firehouse right now. It's supposed to be a snowstorm this evening, right? So one of the firemen made mention. I heard it was 3 to 6 inches, but we got to watch the weather. And he heard 6 to 9. So as we watch the weather, I asked the captain, what are your needs? He says, I need a couple of more guys. So guess what? We're going to rehire a couple of more guys today. I mean, when they tell me they need something, I try to get it. If I can't get it, I tell Miss Scott, and we try to figure out how we can get it done. That's basically how it goes. And most of the times we get it done. One way or another, we get it done. And that's basically it.
All right, we have another question regarding speed bumps. It says, how can a citizen who works during the Village Hall's business hours make a request for speed bumps?
You can email Mary Kay Dugan, and you can CC the police department. You can CC McInerney, Mobley, but make sure that you send your request to Mary Kay Dugan. You can also CC myself on that email, but email always works. It's a paper trail, and Mary Kay is very good about getting back with the speed bumps. She gets a lot of requests for speed bumps, and then she forwards them to the appropriate person.
Okay, and just for reference here, I wanted to give out Mary Kay Dugan's email address. Her email address is M as in Mary, D as in Douglas, U, G as in George, G as in George, A-N @vodalton.org. And the other email addresses are also listed on our Village of Dalton website under directory. And let's see. It says, if this is about, looks like speed bumps. If an application has been submitted to the clerk months back and there has not been any word from traffic control police on statistics, who should one follow up with to keep the process rolling?
I would say you check back with the administrator to see where.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm sorry, my phone, I tried to hit mute, but you can definitely contact me. Also, I'm just going to give people my village cell phone because everybody pretty much has it. Because I'm in and out of the office, I'm real transparent. I had coronavirus, so I work part-time from home, and I come in the office, even though I was told that I should be at home, but I do come into the office. But it's hard for me. I can't obviously answer the phone in the office when I'm not in there. So my village cell phone is 708-571-4364. I tell people if I'm up, I answer the phone because I do recognize that people work and they get off at 7, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. I have people that call me around the clock, and when I'm awake, I answer my phone. So please, you're more than welcome to send me an email, escott, ESCOTT, at same ending handle, vodalton.org. But you're more than welcome also to send me an email or call me on my village cell.
All right, there's another question. It says, does the fire chief, it says, does chief or fire report to administrator? So I'm guessing that means the fire chief.
Yes. So all the departments pretty much report to me. Previously the mayor handles certain things, but like I had a meeting with the fire department. I went over there and sat down with them right before I got sick. I think that was, I'm not sure the exact date. It was around December. It was the last day in November because I contracted the virus December 1st. So the last day in November, I had a meeting with the with the fire department. They sat down, gave me a list of their needs and wants. And we had, I think it was a 2-hour meeting, correct, Chief Dyer?
Yes.
With I think around 8 of the firemen, 7 to 8 of the firemen. We discussed grants, and we also discussed the air bottles. So they were able to get the bottles on loan. Part of the reason why I wanted that CARES money was because we could actually have used some of that money to purchase the air bottles. However we get the air bottles, as long as they're new and they're working and they're not expired, they're still air bottles, right? So just like if we get paper, if we get fax paper, it doesn't matter where it comes from if we need it, right? Right now, I'm trying to conserve that CARES money as best as I can. As Trustee House stated in a previous meeting, the rainy day fund for emergencies and to fill the gap moving forward, because we do know that they recently pushed back the property taxes, the deadline. So that's also going to hurt us. The pandemic has hurt us tremendously. And so we've tried to be cost effective. So I'm trying to hang on to that money and not spend it frivolously. We are only using it when necessary. The air bottles fall under necessary. But Chief Dyer was reporting to me on the status of the air bottles, and they were able to get some from the other towns. Moving forward, if we need other bottles, we aren't able to get them. Of course, we can purchase them because we do have that funding. It just has to go before the board. But he does report to me as all the departments are supposed to.
All right, the next question is for Trustee Holmes. It says, did you let the village officials know we needed air bottles for the fire department?
Yes, that comes to Chief Dyer. And as he stated, we'll be working with him. And as he's been working diligently himself to get these air bottles, we have to get these air bottles and get them in the best way we can.
Okay. Another question was just if all departments report to the village administrator, and you've already answered that question by stating yes. The next question is, who does make the decision on priority for the speed bumps?
Elizabeth, you still there?
Yes, I don't deal with the speed bumps at all. I know that a lot of times they're given to Mary Kay and she forwards them to the police department. I'm not sure who has the final say. I know that the mayor also reviews them, to my knowledge, and I'm not sure who specifically from the police department makes the decisions or prioritizes them. So that I can't answer.
So, like I stated, we just do the survey, and then once we're done with it, we send it back to the village clerk. So we don't play a part as to what area gets it first versus another area. We just strictly do the survey.
All right, and there are no more questions at this time.
Okay, I would like to thank the administrator, both chiefs, also Trustee House, and everybody for tuning in. Give my hearts and blessings out to the constituents in the village of Dolton to continue to work together. If you have a problem, just contact the individuals in the proper from the police department, fire department, administrators, and also the trustees. Thank you. And I would like to motion to close the meeting, if Trustee House is still there. If not, I would like to close this meeting.
Oh, sorry, I do second. I was here.
All right. Thank you, sir. The meeting is officially closed.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.